that Drew would win.
I know. We'll see if they show up.
Oh, really? Organize a field trip. Be taking up these manhole.
They're probably enjoying their life a lot.
Yeah, some might have had classes ending at 4, maybe at 4:30. Yeah, we even have a whole event on that kid so we'll be
And well, the new kid person. She's going to be great.
yeah. I met her, I only read the press release.
She does, in her comments, she was very positive about Kalamazoo, the city, being of an institute, a liberal arts institution in a city has a responsibility to make that city better.
It's 4:30, and we're going to call to order the Environmental Concerns Committee meeting for May of 2026. I'll be doing the chair today because Chair Benacki is traveling. It seems that we have a quorum today. I'm supposed to check for live streaming. Are we all set to go on that? And if people can be a little patient with me, I'm new at all of this, so I'll have some hiccups and some coughs and falling down, so just forgive me. Can we take a roll call, please?
Luke Zimmer.
Rita Chandler.
Rachel Yondel, member.
Oops. Katie Bloom.
John Cruiser. Let's see. Justin has sent out an agenda, and I believe that everyone has received that agenda and the minutes of the April meeting. Hearing that everybody has, we'll go ahead and do the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda for today's meeting? Since the answer is no, if there are no additions, I'd like to make them.
Did you have additions for the meeting? You messaged in the...
I don't.
Okay, you don't. Got it.
Thank you. If there are no additions, make a motion to amend to accept the agenda, to approve it.
I will motion to accept the agenda as listed.
Second.
Okay, moving on. Last month's minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I will motion to approve the minutes from April.
Second?
Second.
All right, communications. So this is Justin, I think you're up.
Yep, so there's a few events happening here in the city. So on May 22nd, tree planting event in Fraze Park from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. All are welcome to that. May 30th, there's an invasive species poll at Glen Park North from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All folks are welcome to that as well. Currently, we have partnering with the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council. There is a rain barrel and composter sale. Online orders are being taken until May 31st. Then there'll be a pickup event at the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council's office on June 5th. That office is located at 1523 Riverview Drive, and pickup will last from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. June 9th is the tire recycling event at 322 East Stockbridge. It lasts from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. You must register online before you drop off tires at this event, and you can contact the Kalamazoo Conservation District for more information. And then June 20th at Mayor's Riverfront Park, there is a Kalamazoo River cleanup hosted by the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council. That'll be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All these flyers are attached in the packet, and any information that you need should be on those flyers. Folks can find that if they go to Civic Clerk and search for our agenda packet. And that's all the communications I have at the moment.
Thank you. I would like to add something that I think it's beneficial for the public, is I would really encourage everyone to look at the City of Kalamazoo webpage. There's a lot of good information. The minutes are published. You have a YouTube channel, and City also sends out a newsletter once a month, and in that newsletter, they are planning, or the question is planning a neighborhood cleanup, and they are grateful to residents to take the initiative to care for their community, and they are happy to provide the to make it easier. And if you go to kalamazooCity.org/cleanup, I'm sure it'll take you to where you need to be. Thank you. Public comments. Public comments, the phone number is 1-888-382-9556. So if there's anybody that would like to call, again, that number is 1-888-382-9556. Go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Reed Williams. I am a resident of the city of Kalamazoo, but I'm also here today representing Now Kalamazoo and the Local Journalism Foundation. I just wanted to let the committee know that this fine group of folks sitting back here are students from Kalamazoo College. They all participate in the Center for Civic Engagement. If you weren't aware, Now Kalamazoo organizes town hall field trips where we take folks to local government meetings like this, and the students specifically requested to come to this meeting as opposed to city commission or planning commission or anything like that. So just wanted to say hello, thank you for the work you do volunteering for this committee, and thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. So are there any questions for anybody?
So, Justin, 2 quick questions. On the tree planting, do we know how many trees and what type of trees? I'm guessing since drop seed's involved, they've really vetted the trees, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're native trees. I don't know what type or how many.
Okay. I'm just wondering, like, how many volunteers they need.
It's a learning event, so as many people as want to show up and learn how to plant trees the correct way and learn about natives, I'm sure they're welcome.
My second question is on the river cleanup. And when I looked at the flyer, are we all on boats, or are some of us on the shoreline?
That's a good question for the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council. We're supplying the dumpsters and some staff. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Commissioner Hess.
Thank you for being here. Jean Hess, City Commissioner. I'm the liaison to City Commission for you. Just want to let you know that I think one of you asked for our response, or the city's response to your memo. And last Friday we did put out the response to the first question about the fire.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
And we wanted to know the answer to the second question about Asylum Lake. And that is still in the city manager's hands. We will get back to you with their answer as soon as we get one. So what the intent of the city is with the county, with Western, and Asylum Lake, right?
Oh, thank you. I was going to touch base on that later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Where are we? Sorry. Are there any call-ins? Okay. There was one email that was sent to the Environmental Concerns Committee, and I will read this into record. Hello, ECC members. I am writing about the phone comment piece of public comments. First, I do so appreciate the opportunity to call in comments when I cannot make the meeting in person, but I do have a concern. The actual phone comment time is cut off way too fast, in my opinion. For example, I called in at this meeting and the prompt said to please hold, but I realized along with someone else that the time was over. I had waited to hear the word that phone time was happening, and then it happened quite fast with not enough time to call in. So if the chair and staff managing could wait a minute or so longer to give time for folks to get their call in, that would be helpful. I know that someone else called in as well. This is not the first time that phone comments haven't happened, and I had planned comments. I hope that this can be resolved at the next meeting. Again, thank you for your service. Respectfully, Iris Potter, MSW. So given that, do we have any phone calls? Justin, should we wait a little longer? Okay, well then we're going to close that minute and move it forward. Are there any comments from people that are present? There will be a comment period at the end, so let's move on to reports. Natural Features Protection Review Board, that is me, John, and the Natural Features Protection Review Board, they did approve Phase 2 for the sports complex. That is pending full site plan approval, appropriate permits, and tree protection prior to construction. If there's any questions, hopefully I can answer. They also had a discussion on potential amendments to the existing natural features overlay, and that's going to be partly based on, there was a publication from the National Landscape Architectural Board discussing their 2040 goals. So they would like to read that, have an opportunity to see if there's relevant information in that, to make some amendments with the natural features overlay. They would also like to look at how the overlay incorporates and supports the city's climate and sustainability programs. And they also discussed doing a field trip about visiting some completed developments that were under the Natural Features Protection Overlay Project, and just kind of take a look at before and after and see where they're at. So that concludes that, and the next would be air and water. Rita?
I have nothing to comment.
Wildlife and natural resource, Dave is not here. Planning Commission, Rachel?
I do not have Planning Commission updates this week.
Okay. Tree Committee, Tom is not here. Asylum Lake Preserve, Dave is not here, so he does not have a report. And I will touch base on the Asylum Lake just a little bit longer under business. And Parks and Recreation, which is me, and I don't really have anything to report either, other than that the Millam Park project seems to be moving along. Justin, I don't know if you have any further information on that? On the Millam Park project?
No. In what sense? What are you asking me?
Oh, just how's it going? And
Seems to be going well.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Kalamazoo Watershed, David Benak is traveling, so he cannot do that. The Odor Task Force and Waste Working Group, those have not been assigned. I don't know if there's anybody else here that can comment on those at all. And then the last one would be the native species in urban landscape, which I believe is Rachel.
Yes. Let's see. We have met twice since the Native Species and Urban Landscape Urban Resilience Subcommittee has met twice since we last met. So I'm weeding through notes right now. Justin already mentioned the May 30th invasive species poll. NOMO May is being replaced with Buzz in the Zoo, and that is underway with yard signs. And are there any other events upcoming, Justin, for that specifically?
Yes, so the May 30th,
Oh, that's right, the May 30th Wind Chill Invasive Species poll and teachings as well. With the Kalamazoo River Watershed, they are working on a pocket forest, and that is using the, I may pronounce this one wrong, but the Miyawaki method. And it is a forestation technique that takes a small parcel and develops it with very dense, fast-growing plants. And that has been planned for Verberg Park. So that is going to be being worked on over the summer, I think. I think their plan is to plant in September. Let's see. And Justin already mentioned the rain barrel sale. Green Drinks is next week on May 26th at the Sugar Bowl at 5 p.m. and Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones will be speaking at that event. And I believe they have Plants and Pints this Thursday evening as well, if you're interested in hearing. And that's at Brewery Outre, if anyone is interested in learning more about native plants. And I think that's my updates.
Thank you. Next is unfinished business. Under unfinished business, the first one was the subcommittee restructuring. Chair Benacki did send out an email that did list suggested liaisons and subcommittees. Has everyone received this? Katie did not? Okay. That was sent, David sent that out.
I probably wasn't on yet officially.
I have a copy. So I will give a copy to Katie, and based on that, it's my personal suggestion that we as a committee schedule a working session on this. There's a lot of moving parts with that, and as David has mentioned earlier, some of these liaisons, existing subcommittees should be condensed, and maybe we can be adding a few to get things more current and relative to what the realities are going on in the city and going on in our local area. So, because we as a committee have been tasked to advise the city on environmental concerns that affect the citizens of our city, and I believe we should be proactive on assisting the city enact appropriate measures and enforcement of environmental concerns and issues. So that would be my strong recommendation, and maybe as a group, when David returns, we can discuss about when we can all get together on that. Are there any comments from the committee members based on David's email?
I don't know if I have a comment really. I do like that he added the Energy, Infrastructure, and Transportation Subcommittee. I agree with the advisory, like liaison portions. I don't feel that we've really condensed much with his recommendations. So I don't feel like it changes much other than the names.
Okay. Rita, do you have?
I have a comment about the subcommittees. I know Asylum Lake and Kleinstock Preserve are very important to our city. For me, it also just seems to be in the same group as landscapes and habitats within the subcommittees.
Okay. Luke? Are you,
No comment from me.
okay. Katie? I know you just got it, so.
No comment.
One of the things that I would like to see is that people potentially write in or call in to the Environmental Concerns Committee if there are any relevant issues or categories that the citizens of Kalamazoo would like to see being addressed on a monthly basis. I certainly would encourage that. And it sounds as if the committee's in consensus that we should have a working group on that to consolidate and come up with a new improved format.
And John, do you mind reading what the committees are under liaisons and the committees are under subcommittees, just so we can share that if possible?
Sure. Liaisons, as suggested, are the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Natural Features Protection Review Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the Planning Commission, Tree Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council, which is not a city entity, but connected to regional governments. Under subcommittees, there are air and water quality and pollution, Asylum Lake and Kleinstock Preserve, landscapes and habitats. Next is litter, recycling, and waste management. And the last one, energy, infrastructure, and transportation. That is the list as presented now. Again, any comments, suggestions, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to jump in here and say that Asylum Lake and Kleinstock Preserve are owned by Western Michigan University, and the city has no jurisdiction or oversight of those two properties.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if we should do a motion to have a separate working council, or I'm not familiar with the rules and regulations. Can this committee have a working session outside of a public format?
No, but we can schedule one that's open to the public. So as long as we give an announcement, say we'll be meeting on X date at X time, and the public can join if they wish, but yeah, it'd have to be public.
Okay. Is there restrictions in regards to where that can be held? I mean, do we need to have it here at the City Hall, or can you provide places or dates, times?
It depends how accessible you want to be. If you want it to be filmed and available for folks on YouTube, then it would need to be here or a different city building. But it could be somewhere else. It would be up to you all.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a motion that this committee gets together and makes a decision on moving forward with this, so we can provide the dates and times for Justin and the city. So that's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Rachel, you good? Katie,
Oh, yes.
did you have anything to talk about?
I have a question. So, not so much on the subcommittee restructuring, but what you said about the city not having any jurisdiction over Asylum and Kleinstock, but yet they have the zoning, planning and zoning, so they have some jurisdiction. Maybe it's
Not over, yeah. We have jurisdiction on properties that adjoin, that are in the city,
okay.
but Western supersedes all city zoning. Western is a state entity, so it outranks us. They don't have to follow any city zoning on their parcels.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. So I think the next question I have then is, about a year ago, a lot of groups got together, a number of entities, people who were involved with Kleinstock, conservation, the river, everybody who's very concerned about the environment. One person sort of organized a group to meet and to discuss common interests and directions to take beyond the scope of what we do. How do we bring them in terms of this subcommittee restructuring? I mean, I think there's a lot of groups out there that have more knowledge, more experience, and can bring something to the table to help set a direction or achieve goals. How can that be a part of the subcommittee restructuring, to meet with a group like that?
I personally wouldn't have an issue with that. I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure how the rest of the council feels about it, but we are, part of the city advisory board, so I think the more people involved, the better off we're all going to be. So I would support that.
I am not opposed to that. I think I am just thinking about what is our goal in the restructuring of the subcommittees. And I think part of it is that we were trying to condense some and broaden others, because they do take up a lot of time in our meetings. And a lot of times it is just, no comment this week. So how can we get the most out of them? So I don't know that having a representative because there are so many organizations and things out there. So I don't know that having one for each is necessarily feasible. I don't know if I have a good suggestion of how to go about that, but I do agree that their input is important.
Is there any way, Katie, that you could take the information that those individual groups have and condense it down enough that you can bring that to the table?
I think part of what I'm wondering is, with all the different committees and the different organizations and groups in the city that have common interests, I think of the Conservation District and the trees and the Tree Committee, and that is something that they have strong interests on, is, more like a work meeting with all of these different groups and people from these different committees to help set priorities for the year, rather than having to attend each month, maybe a twice yearly meeting, something that brings everyone together and say, what are our common goals? And it maybe would relieve some of the monthly. I haven't really formulated the whole thought process of how it would work, but I just wanted to throw it out because I think there's so many different groups and organizations, and this is a big list of committee meetings to liaise, and yet it seems like we should all get together at some point, just like the city has a work day, what do they call it, the retreat, where we do an environmental retreat or something to bring people together and give direction. So that's, I think it's, at this point, it's an idea, no motion.
Well, I think the first step is I'll send an email out to the committee members, and we can come up with a date and a format, and then I think we can address that. And if we need to have additional meetings, then we'll have additional meetings, because I think this is very important, and I'm grateful that David brought this up and is pushing this. Justin, do you have any advice for us or input from a city standpoint?
No, I would just remember the reason this board exists is to give recommendations to the city commission. So as long as that's at the forefront, and the fact that any quorum, any meeting anywhere that has you all as a quorum needs to be an open meeting, just through the Open Meeting Act.
Thank you. Next unfinished business was the KMR fire. The city did provide a response to that, It's a very long response. I think it's important for the public, and I think it's, so I'm going to read it, so here we go. Update on the KMR fire. On April 20th, 2026, the City Commission received a request for immediate action regarding environmental oversight and public safety following the Kalamazoo metal recycling fire from the Kalamazoo East Side Neighborhood Association and a recommendation from the Environmental Concerns Committee regarding the March 9th, 2026 KMR fire. These requests and the ECC recommendation sought additional investigation, oversight, monitoring, and emergency communication improvements to further protect the environment, public health, and community welfare during and after fire events at the KMR property. On March 9th, 2026, at approximately 6:30 p.m., public safety was dispatched at the report of a fire at the Kalamazoo Metal Recycling, KMR, located at 1525 Kings Highway. Upon arrival, public safety officers were met with a large pile of crushed but not shredded vehicles. This pile was approximately 40 feet tall and approximately 300 feet in diameter. The vehicles that were in this pile were reportedly stripped of non-metallic materials in preparation for shredding. The first reports from employees that the fire originated on the east side, closest to the metal processing equipment. It is unknown where the fire had originated or how the fire had originated. The engulfed pile of vehicles contained a mixture of metals, some plastics, synthetics, and other miscellaneous items. The fire burned for approximately 14 hours. The specific point of ignition or the cause of the fire remains unknown. Public safety and public services are working together to enhance air contaminant monitoring, alert activation protocols between departments, as well as thresholds and methods to issue public statements and warnings. We are working with our air quality sensors network provider to add additional sensor locations, add additional contamination sensor detection, and enable staff alert activation at threshold levels. Our current air quality sensors network monitors 12 locations for PM10, PM2.5, and NO2. We are investigating and seeking guidance on additional sensor detection for parameters such as VOC. We are limited to the number of contamination sensors that we can have at each location, and we are limited by sensor cross-sensitivity. We are working with air quality professionals to ensure that we are selecting the best combination of contamination sensors to achieve the goals and recommendations expressed by KENA and the ECC. Communication protocols between public services and public safety are being established to provide 24/7 alert and activation of emergency management, command, and director communications to evaluate air quality in real time during firefighting operations based on air quality sensors, network monitoring thresholds. With communications established and real-time air quality data available, decisions can be made to provide media notifications, as well as the use of escalated resident notification methods already available if warranted. The Kalamazoo Metal Recycling Site is regulated by Eagle in accordance with automotive salvage and scrap metal handler regulations and specific environmental compliance requirements. In accordance with these regulations, there is no direct connection between KMR and any city storm sewer, and there are no direct connections between KMR and the Kalamazoo River for stormwater discharge. The entire KMR site is constructed of impervious surface, sloped and graded towards a concrete-lined pond. The concrete-lined pond has no discharge. The KMR concrete-lined ponds holds approximately 1.2 million gallons at a depth of 5 feet, with additional capacity to hold over 12 feet of depth, resulting in a total capacity exceeding 3 million gallons. Any overflowing of the on-site KMR pond would result in flooding of the site around the pond, but no discharge to the Kalamazoo River. All water collected within the KMR pond is reused on-site for metal cutting, metal crushing, cooling, lubrication, dust control, and non-potable water uses. Public Safety, Public Services, and Eagle responded to the KMR fire and initially checked the Kalamazoo River for any presence of oil sheen out of an abundance of caution to ensure that there was no potential runoff from the site occurring. The drone and environmental technician inspections did not detect any presence of oil sheen. If an oil sheen was detected, additional contamination testing would have been initiated. Our work related to addressing the health accountability and symptom tracking requests and recommendations continues. We have shared the KENA request and the ECC recommendations with the Kalamazoo County Health Department. The Health Department teams will be meeting next week, the week of May 4th, to discuss and begin their work on this matter. Public Safety and Public Services remain committed to the request and recommendations presented by the KENA and ECC. Additional updates will be provided once the additional sensor locations, additional contamination sensor detections, and communication protocols have been put into place and tested. And this was sent from Jenny Hess, Commissioner, City of Kalamazoo. So, thanks for bearing with me. I think it's important to remember what I just read, and also there has been other instances, if we remember the Graffage package situation, and also the ongoing city wastewater plant issue. I think it's certainly something that we need to continue to monitor and to recommend to the city ways that we can hopefully avoid this situation. Any comments? No? Okay. Moving on, the next unfinished business was the ECC involvement with the Asylum Lake transfer, as spoken earlier by Commissioner Haas. She has requested that the city manager look into this. I believe it's the ECC's opinion that they continue to request to the city to reach out to the county and request a seat on the county parks department to assist in the management of the Asylum Lake Preserve. Asylum Lake Preserve is the largest preserve within the city. It has a vast network of support within the city for its continued preservation as a preserve and is a community treasure. It would seem that both the city and county would work together on ensuring that this valuable ecosystem be preserved. So I think we should all encourage this to happen. Any questions? Comments? Last unfinished business was green zoning. We're going to have continued discussions on this. We don't have anything formulated. One of the things, this is my opinion, that I really believe that we need to look at the definition of value, on how we value our green spaces, how we value our climate, and how a concept like green zoning can further push that value and hopefully change the definition of value away from just strictly economic development towards the value of preserving our green spaces. Comments? Justin, comments?
No.
Katie?
So the question I have then is the process. If we want to see green zoning happen from the city's perspective and make sure that we are coordinating and doing it in a timely and valuable process, what are some of the steps that you can think of, Justin, that we might need to be aware of, or how to proceed?
Yeah, so, I mean, there has been a group that has talked with Christina Anderson, the city planner, about green zoning. From my perspective, one of the first things is I don't think we've had or ever had a definition of what green zoning is. What is green zoning supposed to accomplish? I think it's also important to know that zoning can change. I think in this conversation, there's been a conflation of kind of like a conservation easement with green zoning, and those are two totally different things. Conservation easement's a deed restriction on properties where certain things can or can't happen. Green zoning, whatever it means in this case, could change in 20 years, it could change in 15 years. So I guess going back, I think we just, a definition, and in that definition should be what a green zone would accomplish. For first and foremost, just from my perspective, and just understanding and hearing this, that's what I would need to go forward. Because right now, I think all I understand or have heard is the term green zoning. And I think right now, I think everyone is just kind of creating their own definition in their head. So until we have a concrete, proper definition, then yeah, I think that's where we would need to start.
I have a comment. John, I know that you originally brought this up. Do you have any examples of case studies of other cities who have implemented something like this? That could be a good place to start as we talk through what does it mean and what does it look like?
I do, and I think we get stuck sometimes on the concept of green, the word zoning, because zoning is such a politically hot potato. That's why I mentioned the word value. I think as we move forward with the development and just city policies and codes, are the existing codes and are the existing ordinances structured to meet with what the current environmental climate realities are? Or are those codes and ordinances written in a time period when we don't have the climate emergency and the sustainability program? As somebody that works with developers, and I've been in the landscaping business for almost 45 years, and if you read the existing landscaping codes, a lot of people strictly say, what does the code say? What does the landscaping code say? And they follow that. And if it's per the code, there's no real recourse. So I think the way that I'm looking at it is, let's look at the individual codes and address it to meet the current realities of the city's well-stated climate emergency plan, their sustainability plan, because I don't think there's a lot of consistency in regards to the existing codes and ordinances to what the realities of 2026 are. You know, great codes in the 1950s, 60s, or whenever, but they're really not that applicable to today's reality. So, long answer, sorry.
If you do have case studies, though, could you send those out?
Yeah, I'll have to find them, but I do. They're in a pile somewhere.
Would it also be helpful to have someone that is more informed on zoning come and speak?
That's a very good
Our
idea.
current
Yeah.
zoning climate?
Yeah, I do. Katie, do you have?
Yeah, I can arrange for the city planner to attend.
So I've done a very superficial search on the green zoning, and I think you point out something really good, Justin, in that, you know, zoning and conservation districts and what that means to them is one thing, but different cities, even here in Michigan, there's about 4 cities that have some type of zoning or ordinance that deals with what they consider to be like a green type of zoning. So I think we have to do a deeper dive to find, you know, both the case studies and hard examples of how the zoning and the codes, what they look like, in order to bring it forward. I would be interested in looking to see beyond the scope of Kalamazoo to see who we can find or know that might have some experience with the creation of green zoning. I think hearing from planning and zoning is good, but I would also like to go beyond that and get as much new information as possible. I'm not sure how we're going to achieve that, but I think that's part of what we have to do is to start doing that digging and bring it to surface ourselves and see where we can go with it. I do think that this is going to be a lengthy process.
Thank you. Any questions from anybody else, comments? That would bring us to new business. Other than the unfinished business, we got, that's a lot to do in itself. So the only new business that I'm going to bring up right now is, and Justin touched upon the jurisdictional restrictions that between Western Michigan University and the city of Kalamazoo. This is directly in regards to actions that Western Michigan University is planning on doing and its potential impact on things within the city of Kalamazoo. And the first one would be really the lighting issue and the noise issue, because Western Michigan University would like to install lights and start having night soccer games at their soccer facility, which is directly adjacent to Parkview Hills and right across the street from the Asylum Lake Preservation Association. They have done some lighting studies that basically state that it's not going to be impactful. They have not done any type of noise studies, and there are people that are addressing those issues. So that would be one topic of new business to focus on. Anything, Katie?
Along with that, I think my understanding was they did an internal lighting study. So one of the things that I would hope we'd hear from is, I know they've got some birding specialists over at Western, is to find out their viewpoint on the impact of the lighting, giving bird migration. And I think the second part is looking at the homeowners, because there are some homes along that strip there, how they might be impacted by the light and the noise. I don't know how far away they are, but do you think it's quarter mile, half mile?
Yeah, I don't know, and this would be one of those situations where the city doesn't have any control over that property.
Yeah.
Justin, based on that, does the city have, when you say that we don't have, that the city doesn't have any jurisdiction, which is understandable, but what about when actions impact areas that the city does have jurisdiction over?
No. I mean, so what's happening is happening on a parcel owned by Western Michigan University. So the city would not have any control over if, no, sorry, it's hard for me to kind of formulate or understand the question just the way that I think. No. Nope, no.
So what I'm hearing is that regardless of the actions taken by, let's just use Western Michigan University as an example, that has a impact on areas that fall underneath the city of Kalamazoo jurisdiction, that the city basically has nothing to say about that?
I mean, I'm not speaking for the city. I need more specifics probably with this question. So you're saying if light bleeds over or if there's sound from the stadium, is that what you're referring to?
In this specific instance, yes. In other words, is the city not involved in any of those decisions, and does the city not have some type of input, request mechanism to those entities to limit the noise or limit the light?
Probably getting above my pay grade. This could be a recommendation that you all make to the City Commission to investigate some of this, or Christina, who does plan to attend next month, can probably talk a little bit more about that.
Does anybody else on the committee have a comment about this? Okay. I think that takes care of new business. So any final thoughts from the members? Additional public comments?
I have one final thought.
Yeah.
First, thank you all for attending today. And second thing that I thought of, on June 6th, this is actually a county event, but the county is hosting a composting workshop, June 6th from 10 a.m. to 11 at Woolham Preserve.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any additional public comments? I'm going to open up the phone line again, and that phone number is 1-888-382-9556. Again, 1-888-382-9556. Not sure how, Justin, you have a time frame on how long we should? I get the table. I'm glad you're here. Any phone calls, Justin? All right, well, based on that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for showing. Thank you for participating.